It feels so good to be able to sit down and talk about Kingdom. It truly does. So many of you have asked me to just talk about this for a year and a half, 2 years now, and to finally be able to sit down and talk about a chapter 499, and do a review on it. It just makes me happy because it's such a great series. And once again, I want to state what I did in my other Kingdom video. I hope that these videos I make, even if I can get one person to start this series, that's all that matters to me, because it's such a good series, and I just hope more people take notice of how good Kingdom is and how underrated it is. Hopefully many see this video. Maybe I can get one of you Chibits to start it, because it's just such a good ride. So with that being said, the chapter is just pure 100% freaking hype. Not just for what happened with Shin, but also the other characters as well. And I just want to say, the stuff with Shin, that stuff that's been building up for so long. It's, like, Oki is probably my favorite character in Kingdom. I get emotional just saying that. That man was just so fucking badass. How he charged in, and how even though he got impelled and he looked like he was dead as hell, he still got up and all that. He willed himself back up on his horse, and when he rode out while he had blood just pouring out of him, and he's like, "Shin, I want you to take a look on this horse and look around." And I mean, just that entire death scene with Oki was just so well done. He had some great characterization and development, and when you saw the way that man died and he just threw the glaive over to Shin, that was such a great moment. It was kind of like the general was stating, "You will pass on my legacy. You are my legacy. You're such a great soldier. You will become a general." And this has been building up for hundreds of chapters, and it's finally here. Shin has now grabbed hold of Oki's glaive and is now using it in combat. This man is taking this with him. It's such a great achievement because, for one, what it shows is that Shin has grown to the point to where he feels like he should be able to wield such a great tool that was used by Oki. This glaive was so important. It just symbolizes what Shin will become and what he is right now, and how far he has come since the beginning of this series. It makes me happy to see this man just grab it, hold it, look at it, and he's like, it feels very heavy. And just the weight of it has to be crazy. I mean, you gotta realize this, okay? The size of the glaive, it's very large, it's very heavy. And it's not just that, too, just the actual physical weight being very heavy. We have to remember it's mentally heavy. It's going to be a lot on his shoulders, because when Shin uses this out on the battlefield, it symbolizes that he is taking the stance that he feels like he is ready to try to step up and to become a really great general, and he feels like he is ready mentally to carry this burden on him, and it's completely different from whatever Shin has had to deal with before. I mean, he's been through a lot. He has been through so many different situations where it mentally would break a normal man. He's holding on to a weapon from the great General Oki. So I just can't wait to see this man, Shin, just go out into combat, use it, and fight on the battlefield with it. That weapon right there pretty much symbolizes Shin's fame, and how much fame he's probably going to get after this war. He might become even a general once this is all said and done. Once this war is said and done, probably with this arc, this big arc that's about to happen, Shin might become a general because of what's about to happen. With him grabbing that, I feel like that's what the writer's trying to let us know. So, enough with that. Let's talk about the other details. Let's talk about Olsen. Hopefully I'm saying his name right. I mean, I probably might not be saying it right, so if I'm not saying his name right, Olsen, please forgive me. Please, correct me in the comments below. I'm new to, talking about this series, and I know these names are Chinese, so if I'm saying these names wrong, feel free to correct me. But I mean, I'm just letting you know if I do mess up any of the pronunciations of these names, for instance, calling, like Olsen, like I should call him like Olsen or whatever, please forgive me. I'm just, wanting to let you know if I say their names wrong, forgive me. Anyways, Olsen, he's a character that's been very mysterious for a very good long while. He's a person that has shown that he's a very powerful general, he's very smart, and he can easily overcome a lot of different situations, especially in the previous wars. The Coalition War is a perfect example of how smart this man is, and what he really can do, and how many people can underestimate this man. Even smart individuals, great generals, can underestimate how good this man is at planning things. Olsen has always been a mystery for a while now. He's someone that I wanted to see more of. He seems to be a character that could be a really good guy if you got to know him, but at the same time, he feels like he's a little bit shady. Not as shady as Konki, obviously, because Konki, that man is just like, yo, that man is a savage motherfucker, like, holy hell. But, I mean, Onsen, just the sides of him, the way he will use men as distractions, like decoys, and allow him to do whatever he needs to do, it's kind of messed up in a way. I mean, especially how he used other characters in the past. But I mean, overall, what he tries to do, it does have rewards. He does actually win, usually in his engagements with different armies. And so, with him being the head general of this entire army, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, he's constantly showed that he's a very capable individual. He's always been able to overcome everything that's come his way, especially in the Coalition War. Perfect prime achievement for him. That's a good example for his achievements of what he has done, and if that doesn't speak volumes of what he can do, then I don't know what else can. But the greatest thing to his track record is apparently this man was actually, I guess, acknowledged by a great general. One of the Quin's 6 great generals acknowledged Onsen in the past. This great general was Kosho. Now, Kosho was a general, one of the great generals, and he got into that position as a great general, not with martial skills. He didn't get there because of that. He got there because of his mind, his strategic warfare. That's how he was able to overcome many challenges ahead of him and how he got to that position. That's how Kosho got there. One of Quin's 6 great generals. This man didn't get there with brute force, he used his mind. And this man that was really intelligent, and there was even rumors to say that this man was actually using all of Quin's great generals, and he was using them all like his limbs. It shows you how intelligent this man was, and what he was like in the past. And for this man that was that good to acknowledge Onsen that many years ago, that lets us know that this man Onsen is actually very powerful, and if that was said many years ago, he's improved way more since then. Because you gotta remember, many years of battle experience, you're gonna become a changed person. Just one war is gonna change you. I mean, let's go back to Shin, okay? Let's go back to Shin in the first war he ever did. When he participated in that first war at the beginning of the series, he was a different type of person. I mean, the way he fought and everything, it was completely different. Even before he met Oki, he was an entirely different man. But then after that war, you saw how Shin changed so much. Even after Oki's death and how Shin got his own unit and everything, just Shin changed so much. Every war has changed Shin as a character. He's always changed. And that can be said for every other character. Every person that participates in a war, they constantly change. Maybe physically, maybe mentally. And that's what constantly happens. And so, Onsen, that's been through many wars for many years now, after the death of Kosho, we do know that this man is probably way leagues above what Kosho acknowledged a long time ago, and there might even be a potential possibility that Onsen could even surpass Kosho. He might have already surpassed him with his skill because of how he was acknowledged that many years ago. So this is looking to be a very great war, because one of my favorite things about Kingdom in general is just seeing how the war takes place. It's not actually the action. It's not seeing characters going in, cutting each other up and stuff. That's not the big thing that makes me love this series. It's how the politics are shown. It's how the warfare is shown. It's how, you know, these characters try to outsmart each other. How you have, like, these different formations with the soldiers coming in with cavalry to, you know, infantry, bowmen. It's so fascinating to see stuff like this, and seeing how Onsen was already acknowledged that many years ago, and how this man is going to be commanding the entirety of this army. I'm super hyped. I am super hyped. And it's not even that either. I mean, Konki as well. Konki's going in with his own army. I mean, we have the mountain tribes too. So we have some very big names joining this war alongside of our main cast of characters. Our main army, Shin's army, they're going in as well. So there's a lot of big names in this army right now. A lot of characters could potentially die too in this upcoming war. And so it's looking to be quite the explosive arc. I can't wait to see what direction it's going to go, because, I mean, Kingdom constantly gets me hyped every time I read a chapter. I remember when I was catching up, and I was reading chapters and stuff, it was just so awesome. I was like shaking just reading the chapters, because there's just, the hype keeps building up more and more each chapter, and I feel like the last 20 or so chapters, they have just been absolutely phenomenal. They have been phenomenal. They have non-stop been just hype-inducing chapters. I mean, constantly, every single week they possibly came out for many of you Chibits that read this series. I just can't imagine how the wait was, just waiting for a new chapter, because now I feel that pain. I feel that pain of waiting for a new chapter, and as we all know, the holidays are here, and so there's not going to be any new chapter for the rest of the year. So FYI, if you're unaware, there's not going to be a chapter 500, like, next week. That's not coming out next week because of the holiday season. We're probably not going to be getting a chapter until maybe January. I don't think we will, because, I mean, I know Weekly Shonen Jump's going to go on a break. I know the other magazines are going to go on a break. So, I mean, I know for a fact we're not going to be getting a chapter next week because of the holidays. So, we might not get one until early January. So, this is our final chapter for now. But it was a good way to kind of conclude this year of Kingdom. I mean, all that build up, the start of a new arc, Onsen going in with the Mountain Tribe to Konki, it just like, damn, it's looking to be a wonderful arc. And, oh yeah, one thing I do want to talk about before I, get off the Onsen stuff, if someone like Kosho could become a Quinn's, 6th general, because he had a strategic mind, and he didn't use martial skill to get that position, this lets us know that maybe 10, she could possibly become a great general as well. Now, I'm not saying she is. I just want to do an FYI. I'm just saying, if you don't really need martial skill to go in and all that, and you could be someone like Kosho, then there's a potential possibility that maybe 10, one day, might become a general as well. I would like to see that. I would really like to see that. It would be really cool just to think that Shin's friends all became, like, generals. Like, his main set of friends became great generals, and they were able to just go out and have war and stuff. That sounds like that would be pretty freaking epic. I mean, just think about that. I mean, just think about it if 10 was able to become a general. I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but I mean, if someone like Kosho can do it, and how, 10's constantly been built up throughout the series of Kingdom, there's a potential possibility that could happen. So with that being said, I think I'm going to conclude it here. Actually, no, you know what? No. Fuck that real quick. I want to talk about something. And now, I haven't actually made a video on Kingdom yet, which I've kind of been neglecting. There's been a lot coming out these past couple weeks, which I want to be honest. I will be honest with you. I care about all of you, and so I'm just going to be straight up with all of you. The reason why I haven't done a Kingdom video is because I've been rather busy with personal life and also playing Final Fantasy 15. I'm not even shitting you. I'm gonna be honest with you. That's what I've been doing. So to make it up for that, I want to kind of talk about this. This next segment I'm going into is kind of a little bit of extra to this video, and it's kind of going to be talking about my thoughts overall on the generals to maybe, just Oki and also Konki, because I didn't really talk about them much in my first impressions because I didn't want to spoil anyone. So since you all are pretty much caught up with the series, you're, reading chapter 499, I think I can talk about it. So, my personal favorite general, I have to say, the ones that are alive. I'm not counting the dead ones. Obviously, I can't count Duke or Oki, which is sad because I love those two. They're fucking amazing characters. If I had to say my favorite general, I'd say Konki. Now, yes, Konki is an asshole. Oh, yes, that man is a straight-up fiend. That man does some heinous shit. Like, that man is evil. But I love how dark he is. I love Konki. I just like what he does. I mean, he does things so unexpected. You just don't know what will happen next with this man because of the type of shit he pulls. And I mean, throughout his entire arc, like the last big arc we had with Shin and Konki, that was such a great arc just because of how Konki was interacting with Shin's unit, and also just how this man was constantly trying to outsmart his opponent. This man was crazy. He's crazy what he does. He cuts off people's ears, he cuts off their tongues, their eyeballs, sticks them into a freaking bag, and ships them to the war. That is some evil shit. Let me just like, oh, like the man in the middle of the coalition war and stuff, all that, he's just doing some evil stuff, just cutting off eyeballs, cutting off ears, just throwing them to people, like, here you go, here's some eyeballs from your fellow soldiers. It's completely evil. And I mean, even to the stuff he did in the Coalition War when he went down the burning tower and stuff, going for the men, and he's just yelling at the soldiers that are not even his soldiers, the enemy. He's like, you better kill them, Quinn. You better keep firing, keep shooting them. You better go after them, Quinn. Show them. This man is just cheering on the enemy soldiers, trying to raise morale. And I'm like, this man is just freaking crazy. So, I mean, Konki is my favorite living general at this time. I like Onsen. Don't get me wrong. I love his character. I love Onsen, but he's shrouded in mystery, so I don't know a whole lot about him. We just gotta see where it's gonna go, but I know a whole lot more about Konki and his personality. So probably after this upcoming arc, I might actually think Onsen is my favorite general, but at this time, though, I want to say Konki is my favorite. Now that I've said that, since I've answered that question, because many were asking about that, let's talk about the raid on Sai. The city where the king say how he had to protect the entirety, and how he, he had different, commanders on each wall. That entire arc is something I wanted to talk about, and I kind of want to talk about it here. That arc, oh my god, that Psy arc was just so badass, because for one, when you see these regular soldiers, these old, feeble people, children, women, all that, they're all standing up, and they thought they were just gonna die. They were gonna open up the gates and allow the men and all that just to come straight in. But when the king arrived, Shin's army arrived, and a couple others arrived, they did a last stand. And that arc was just so godly. That was like... how to put it like this, okay? The Coalition War, in that part of the Coalition War, that was, I would say, one of the best arcs of Kingdom. Easily one of the best arcs. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Oki's entire arc, his final arc, Duke, his final stand, all that. Very great moments. But I mean, that one moment, when the king stands among the people, he's encouraging them, giving them morale. They're fighting through the night, day and night, day and night, day and night. And it just continues to drag on. And you see how people are just dying left and right. And how the fight is getting worse and worse for them because, you know, they're losing ground. You know, people are passing out because they're just so tired. I mean, it's just crazy the way that entire arc was done. And the way Shin was defending a wall, the way the others were defending a wall. And it was just an onslaught, a siege. I mean, you think such a small, simple city would have easily fell and crumbled to the ground, but thanks to the morale of the king, what he did, just bringing up morale, and how, you know, all the others are just really good commanders, focusing and trying to know how to defend, use, you know, strategy and warfare for their advantage. It was a great arc in general. That part was one of my favorite arcs, and so to answer all of you that were wondering what my favorite moment of Kingdom was, it was definitely that. That was probably by far one of my favorite moments of Kingdom. Now, the next thing to get into, let's talk about, my overall thoughts of just what's going on with the king. So the king and his entire stuff going on with, you know, what happened with, Ro Fui, that man, holy shit, that was... Oh my god, the build up to that arc. The build up to that arc and how Sei could have possibly been this man's freaking child. Like how he states just casually, like, oh, you know, my son and all that. And he stated, like, oh, I was just joking, but there's a potential possibility that was his son. I'm like, this would mean that Sei's been fighting his entire, like, he's been fighting his father his entire life. He's been fighting his father to become the actual king of Quinn. And it's just so badass the way this arc was building up since the very beginning. I mean, since the very beginning of Kingdom, since the first arc, that match between these two, this political match, just them going at it with, you know, politics and stuff, that's been building up since the beginning. When that was finally settled and you saw the king just, you know, get, you know, turned into a king, like the prince become a king, and he was now actually the rightful ruler, that was a wonderful moment. Another wonderful moment of Kingdom, just to see how he finally became what he's been saying he will become eventually. All this build up through all these chapters, many chapters, hundreds of chapters, it finally happened. And so... just, yeah, Kingdom was a great ride. I enjoyed reading this series so much. I mean, just these little details here and there. The journey was fantastic. I would continue to just press many others to read this series because of how fun it was. And so hopefully these videos I want to start making on Kingdom kind of bring more people into, you know, the Kingdom fan base. Hopefully more start reading this series, enjoying it and all that, because it truly is a great experience. So, you all have a wonderful day or not wherever you live. It was a wonderful chapter. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Please be safe. Chibi out.